Check it out. We back. You know what it is. Go Defenders. Your homie from Stony, Knowledge Born, here with the crew. We got a guest today, and we doing well. We doing real well. Tiger Woods.
Man, come on, man. Shout out to that, man.
Hey, come through, Tiger
Come on, man. Don't
Hey,
give
come
me.
through.
Hey,
Come
bro.
through.
You just started, bro. Don't give me hype, bro.
Can we cheers
Let's
to that?
go.
Can we cheers to
Man,
Tiger
cheers
Woods?
to that, bro.
Cheers.
Salute to that man, dog.
Hey, brother.
Salute to that man,
The
bro.
country kitchens around the country.
Oh,
Sheesh.
God, salute to that man.
The red shirt. I should have wore a red shirt. But so we have a guest today. Obviously, he's sitting in the middle. The homie, Michael Wells, do well. You know what I'm saying?
Mr. Do Well in the building, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? Yes, sir.
And we're gonna talk today about local entrepreneurship because it's something that's been fresh on my mind anyway. Just because this year, branding myself differently, I was like, I really need to be more present in my community where I've come from and be more present. I mean, I think as a rap artist, I've always talked about where I'm from, but I think like for me, moving into the space of being kind of like an OG to some of the younger guys, I'm like, I need to do more visible stuff in the community. And so I wanted, Mike to show up here today, not just to give us this lemonade, because it's slamming. It's slamming like a motherfucker. But to talk about, like, people who are really doing the work. People who are really going back into the community every day that they come from and investing. And, that's something that Nip did. And it's so terrible to see that young brother go down like that.
Man.
Yeah. R.I.P. to Nipsey Hussle. I only met him a couple of times, but I was a fan. It's very few rappers I'm a fan of, but I remember going to Reggie's to see his show. Mm-hmm. He only did one show in Chicago. That's amazing to think somebody that big only did one show in Chicago.
At Reggie's.
Yeah.
That's nuts.
It was packed out. It was 3,000 people in that one little.
Wow.
3,000 people at Reggie's. So
3,000 people at Reggie's.
I was looking forward to the victory lap thing.
But that's kind of what I wanted to center the talk that we're going to do today. I wanted to kind of just bring it back to this idea of like how when you're in your community, there's this idea that we have to leave. Yeah. There's this idea that if we make it to a certain level of success that we can't stay around too long. That's always been like a theme, particularly in music, was like, if you're in Chicago, you got to leave to succeed, and that's kind of always been like this idea. But I've also seen that replicated in other industries. And so having Mike here to talk about like, what he's doing, because I feel like you could do what you do anywhere else, but what you're doing is so inherently Chicago that like I feel like it's super dope. And so that's kind of like a conversation I wanted to spark, because Nip actually gets gunned down in front of his store in his neighborhood where he grew up, where he's investing in, and so many people on my social media were like, if he would have just left the hood, he would have been straight. So I want to get y'all's opinion on that.
It's interesting because when the day he got gunned down, I saw, of course, social media was buzzing. Mm-hmm. And I thought about myself. Like, I actually moved from the south suburbs to Bronzeville intentionally to start a business in Bronzeville, a web development company. And then I hired people from the community intentionally so that I could create this wealth cycle, right? This wealth engine, this revenue engine. And I thought about him. Like, I think we all talked about earlier. I was not necessarily the biggest fan of his music, but I was an immense fan of him. Yeah. The tech incubator, clothing line, buying up property in the neighborhood. And it's marathon. And it's this narrative of you having to leave is one that we hear often in Chicago. So many people, and we all can probably think of 2 or 3 people apiece, have said, I've got to leave Chicago to be successful. Yeah. So I got to go to Atlanta. Yeah. I got to go to wherever. And Mike, I'd like you to chime in just to talk about like
That's funny.
What you've done, why you stayed, why you've not just stayed, but I'm going to go to the Wood. Shout out to the Woodlawn, Donnie.
Shout out to the Woodlawn.
My brother.
Hey, we need to get a close-up of shit.
Right.
Though. This is some, I'm not even plugging right now.
You got to hold it up.
I'm consuming. Like, right here, can you see the packaging is, man, we don't go on Shark Tank.
This is like the rosemary.
It's the perfect color. It's everything.
Peach rosemary, too, at that.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, man, I would love to know, like, first, what gave you the idea? Why did you start the company? Why did you commit to building it out of the South Side, right?
Yeah.
Well, just like a lot of things. First, I want to thank you all for having me here, because you know what you guys are doing is dope. Like most things, it's kind of done out of necessity. I live on the South Side, and one day, one Thanksgiving, my wife was like, "I need you to make some lemonade." She didn't even know what I do with that. So, because I've been doing this for years.
Yeah.
She was like, "All right, cool." So I made it, and I was like, "Okay, cool, just this lemonade." And when I tell you that everybody in the room was like, "Man, where'd you get this?" Da-da-da. I was like, "Oh, that's interesting."
Yeah.
No business thought about that. You know what I mean?
Right.
But at the same time, I was trying to figure out what my next move was. So at this point, I was doing smoothies, and I was selling those bottles. And the problem that came with that is it was kind of difficult to make it taste the same way every single time. Whatever. Yeah, and all that. And just, you know what I'm saying, time. It just
Shelf
really
life,
became
yeah.
all that.
Yeah.
So I was like, man, smoothies is not the thing to do. But I was like, but man, this lemonade might be a thing. But the problem with that is lemonade, you can only make so much.
Right.
So I had to figure out a conduit to bring people to the lemonade. So I have sandwiches.
Yes.
My corned beef sandwiches, our corned beef sandwiches, because I'm also a owner with my wife as well. Shout out to her, Malika Wells. We bring food, but we want people to wash it down with this.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So that was that. Secondly, similar to Nipsey, like, and I never, because if you don't know, I lived in LA for 5 years. I found Nipsey in 2008. Bullets ain't got no names. Volume
Hustle
1.
in the house.
Yeah, all that. Like I remember bumping that in Inglewood, living there, man. You know what I'm saying? And
the '60s, Slauson.
I met him, and at the time I lived in Inglewood. I moved to Lamert Park. If you don't know about that, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out to Dom Kennedy.
And Nipsey,
Dom Kennedy.
you know what I'm saying? And like, it was so cultured and like beautiful. It was just, it was just a beautiful place to be.
It is.
You know, and so I know where he comes from, and his music was just so much better. Like he made me like, you know what, LA is back.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And then when I found out what type of man he was, I was
Solid,
like,
though.
come on, man.
Solid.
Like, you couldn't even really beat that, man. And when I found out he died, similar to Jeff, man, I thought about myself. Because similar to what you're saying, I work in the hood.
Yeah.
I don't like to think I'm in that space where someone would, you know what I'm saying, want to do that.
Yeah.
But I would, in my brain, he was untouchable. And in my brain, I felt like he was always protected because people knew what type of
Man, he was.
Yeah, you know what I mean? And so when that happened, you can't help but think, man, if they could kill Nipsey, G, I could be out here slinging sandwiches, G, and get bumped off. You know what I'm saying? So I cried a lot.
Yeah.
My wife didn't understand. Like, she didn't understand because when I was at the Sophie when I found out, and she was there, and I told her, and she didn't give me the right reaction, so I had to stay away from her.
Yeah.
Because I was in a space, and I didn't want to, like, take that on her, because I felt the way.
Yeah.
But it was a real refreshing thing in a weird way to be able to share it with others. You know what I mean? Because I feel like I thought I was the only one who loved him like that.
Man.
You know what I'm saying?
Let me ask y'all something, because I think we weren't even planning to talk about this part of it, but I think it's really relevant. Like, the fact that you shared that you cried for another black man after hearing the narrative of him being gunned down. It actually makes me feel something, bro, because I think that's the kind of heart and passion that's missing in our city right now. I saw somebody post today, and the meme said, like, when will black men cry for the brothers that they don't know that are shot and killed every day?
I might have an answer to that question now. That's a weird thing to say that.
Yeah.
Because I don't think I cried for him just because he was gunned down.
What he
If I'm really keeping it 100, right?
Right.
I cried for him because I knew what his mission was, and I knew that he was really doing the work, man.
Yeah.
And it's like I cried in my car. I was like, and I screamed. I was like, we can't have nothing. I remember that, just us as a people, because I'm like, we battle and we struggle, but the people like that's doing the work is the ones that's really moving us forward. You know
I
what
was
I mean?
in LA when it all went down, actually.
Oh wow, man.
So I
Crazy. And
our spring break for Northwestern was the same week. So I was like, yo, I'm going to LA, I'm recording. And so it's super ironic that I was moving in the space of like trying to get back to making music again. And I'm in LA. And like low key, I'm not even playing. Like I was like, yo, it'd be dope to go to this marathon store, buy a shirt,
man.
IG it up,
Bro.
do the whole
Bro.
little wave, the whole little
Man.
situation. So what happened is like literally that Sunday, Saturday was my homeboy's 40th. So we partied, blah, blah, blah. You wake up late, hungover, all that stupid shit. Wake
The
up.
whole shebang.
And so they give these alerts about like, yo, somebody got shot at the marathon store. I was like, I already know. Because I know who they was aiming for.
Yeah.
They wasn't aiming for nobody that people don't care about.
Right.
And so the fact that they said Nip got hit, 2 other people got hit, but we don't know. 1 person died, but we don't, we'll give you news later. I was like,
We knew.
this is bad. I was like, the person, if they're aiming for somebody, they not aiming for the people that don't matter in that space. They aiming for the guy that is the prophet that came through to kind of like revitalize and is the face of the situation. Like you don't go to the marathon store accidentally hit Nip. You don't. You don't. Like that's not what's happening. So they control those streets. I mean, if you know how LA works, and I was
that's why it was so crazy that he got because I know how LA works.
And I was with the homie. I was with the
crazy.
homie, and like literally, he got a phone call as we're reading the thing on Twitter, and he's like, "Yo, it's an inside job, super inside job." Dude knew him. They were having a regular conversation. Dude tripped out. Blah blah blah. This is how it went, and we didn't know the specifics, but he was like literally, I'm talking about minutes later, they knew who did it.
Yeah.
There's a code of the streets, but it was like, dude, you better turn yourself in because we're gonna kill your whole family if you don't. And that's kind of what it was.
Can you all explain that code in LA? Because obviously we're here and we saw with the Derrick Rose documentary how that was mentioned, like a code where you didn't mess with ballers, you didn't mess with people who was about something, you didn't mess with kids, you didn't mess with old folks. That's how it is here, but you all explain like what that.
How it used to be here.
Yeah, it used to be right.
It used to be like that.
Right. Yeah, but
The
how
thing
did
about
LA?
it's similar to here. But at the same time, anybody can be touched, I guess.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The code is that. There are certain people that should be untouchable, but just like here.
Yeah.
Like for instance, the brother from Simeon back in the day. Brother Benji.
Yeah.
He should have. This is a very similar in terms of someone that shouldn't have been able to be touched like that. You know what I mean? So
You said that I was at the cigar lounge
yeah.
and I said it was similar.
Yeah,
I
like
even
in
heard
that thing.
accounts that he talked shit as he got shot. Like that he got shot the first time and was like, "All right, bro, like get away." They said he came back 2 times.
Did you watch it?
I did not watch it.
I watched it and I'm happy I watched it and I kind of regret it too because there's a certain amount of trauma that you can't help but have from that.
Yeah.
And but I watched it knowing that. But I watched it because I wanted to see how it went down from the perspective of was it quick? You know what I'm saying? Details like what did people do? So what I gathered from it, that space was a safe space.
Yeah.
So people didn't have guns.
Right.
Nope.
So what happened was when he did it, he shot dude, boom, right? He ran away instantly. Now, we might still have him here if maybe somebody had a pistol or he got tackled or something. Yep. But he comes back, boom, shoots him in the face.
Yeah.
Boom. He he's laid out, and then he runs again.
Yeah, and kicks him.
No. He runs away.
Okay.
And then he comes back. And he's like, oh, shit, niggas ain't doing shit. Pow, pow.
Yeah.
And then he ran up and kicked him, G.
Yeah.
And when I saw that, I cried again. Because you gonna do that, man, like that?
Yeah.
That was nuts to me.
A little shitty.
That was real. That was real. But you know what that did for me, though, in a weird way? You know what I'm saying? My wife helped me a lot with the perspective on it.
Yeah.
Because we talk a lot about things are like supposed to be done in like divine order and things of that nature.
Yeah.
And you saw his mom talk a little bit about that. But she talked about like, this is what is supposed to happen. The reality is the untainted reputation of him is a reason for us to continue the mission.
That's true.
You feel me? So it kind of might be on time.
And he's bigger than he's ever been.
And if you listen to his music, he talked about that. He talked about that. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
You know what? It actually all boils down to walking in your purpose. And he was definitely a man who was walking in his purpose. And so, going back to what you were saying about what we've been talking about, people say, oh, I got to get out of my community and that sort of thing. When you do that, when you get into that mentality, you might risk not walking in your purpose. And so Nip was walking in his purpose. And so because he was walking in his purpose, he set his legacy up so that we can continue what he's been doing and build upon that. He laid the foundation.
Mario, there's a thing I would want to ask you about, because I think that there's like this idea that like the corporate structures don't want to sponsor community initiatives, right? Like, where do we go? Like, where do we go to get the bread to invest back? Because one of the things that his brother was talking about at his eulogy was the fact that they were trying to buy that lot.
Yeah.
And then, so everybody thought that was their lot. They rented every property at the lot, but they didn't own the lot until just now. Right. And so, like, the idea that we need loans, and I'm only, I don't want to put the onus on you as being the financial guy, but I think you have some insight on like this idea of like we can get the bag. Well, I mean, Ariel ain't losing. Ariel ain't losing.
Money, he know how to get
Ariel's doing okay. I think Ariel's still doing okay. John Rogers is a phenomenal mentor to have, right? But the idea of like how it's one thing to want to do the work, but how do we connect the dots in terms of like getting those types of finances to do the things we want to do?
No, that's a very important question. And so, oh man, I'm trying to think of the right way to approach this. It's a very loaded question.
Because I'm sure you want to help people. I'm sure people come to you all the time and say, can I get not to be like, can I get a loan? Can I get $1? Can I borrow $1? But like, it's kind of like that. To a certain degree.
Yeah, so I mean, and I can't, just for conflict of interest purposes, I can't,
go into the details.
Exactly. But I mean, there are corporations out there, that are black owned, they're doing well, that will, to your point, sponsor community, their communities. And so whether it's an event or a project or just a movement, and so it's just about identifying those opportunities and being ready once you're ready to get in front of those people. Yes. What's up?
Let me chime in too, because I think I run a neighborhood business development center in the city of Chicago, right? MS BARC.
We're flex, but okay.
There's four, right? But I do, and this is the problem. Like there's 44 of them. There's 44 of them in the city. Chatham Business Association, Greater Auburn Gresham Development Corporation, the Rogers Park Business Alliance, like every part of the city. And the problem is they're kind of hidden, right? And I don't know if that's intentional. I won't go into that route, but I do think that we don't know what's out there often. Like there's community finance development institutions, right? VEDC, Chicago Neighborhood Initiatives, Axiom, Bethel New Life. They have capital in the neighborhoods that we live in that are to help people like me, like Mike,
like the hatchery now.
Started
Axiom
right now to start companies. And if they have low interest or moderately priced money to go get to help you start and grow. They have resources and people who are mentors to help you grow. where we don't have to necessarily go to aerial because a lot of us aren't ready for the big
That
banks
type
yet,
of- yeah,
right?
yeah.
But they're there. They're there. And I think, oftentimes I think it's intentional that these things are hidden from us so that we don't know that the things exist to help us grow to scale. Why would I want Mike to do well scale if I'm the powers that be? Because he takes away from Minute Maid, made from pure cane sugar. His lemonade actually is better for us. Why would I want him to grow to scale to be able to hire 50 young men to get them off the block from the hood so that I can't come in and buy this land cheap? Like, some of this is actually structural, it's structural oppression, and it's systemic. And what we have to do is recognize it. Like, we got to wake up.
Gotta recognize it, and we also have to understand the game.
Right.
Like, we gotta see. A lot of people don't understand that it's a game.
Yeah.
It is.
People think their life is just free and they can just be with the.
No.
Listen,
It's a game.
you are what a camera. You are in a game, player.
You gotta play
You're
the
in the
win.
game. You gotta learn this game, brother and sister. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, with that said, to kind of answer to a certain extent, if businesses understand that they can make money off of you, then they, black, whatever you are, if that green situation is on point, they will
Right, money has one color.
they will do what's necessary.
Right.
And this is the thing that I've noticed, because we don't have funding. Like, we doing this on our own.
Yeah.
Bootstrap.
But I don't like to say that because it ain't that. It's I get the love of the people to help build us. You know what I'm saying? And then I'll bring funding to us. You know what I'm saying? Shout out to anybody who's down for the, you know what I'm saying, cause, if you will. But I like the fact that we're building our own thing.
That's real.
Because we talk about leverage in business. Most people don't want to do the work that's necessary to build the leverage in their business to come to those people with the investment dollars. Because most times people, even me, and this is a thing that I learned going through this whole thing, I wanted money instantly because I'm like, man, if I had some money, we'll get this thing rolling.
Right.
The real key is not the money. The real key is the equity in the learning in what you do. You build that, you build a foundation, you have something solid for somebody to invest in easily. As opposed to, oh, you got to prove it now.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? You know what I mean?
And you know what? There's strength in numbers. And so the black business community in Chicago really has to come together because we've actually had kind of we've kind of gone backwards in time, because in the 60s, 70s, and 80s, black entrepreneurship in Chicago was really, really strong. And we had prominent businesses in Chicago like Johnson Publishing, George Johnson with the hair care products. And then, you had Ariel Investments, which came around in 1983.
My parents started their business in Chicago in 1987. My parents have been in business as therapists, private practice for 30 years.
I think it's still. I think 75th Street to this day still has, by number, more black-owned businesses than any strip
Still going.
in the country.
Shout out
No
to
doubt.
Limbs.
In the country, on one street, right?
But over the decades, though, like a lot of these big companies that were once really prominent here in Chicago have kind of disappeared. And so obviously we still have a very vibrant entrepreneurship community here, but it's not like unified as it once was. You get what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like everyone's kind of spread out. Got to get out of Chicago to make it mentality.
It seems like it's a lot of online businesses too.
Yeah.
Like
South
it's a
Shore
lot
Bank.
more businesses than you think.
South Shore Bank funded my parents' business. Wow. It's black-owned bank. The first one in America.
It's gone though.
It's gone now.
Exactly.
It's
Illinois Service Federal, all
that
these
was a
black
great
businesses.
point, but they're gone.
Exactly. And that's what I'm
gone.
And
Like-
so to think about that, like that's how I learned my first bank account was through, South Shore Bank.
Mine was Illinois Service Federal. I had the little
ISF
blue
is
book.
still black-owned, right? But
ISF is gone, bro.
It's the
No, it's now
it's
the-
GM Bank.
It's owned by black folks.
Yeah. My homie.
Shout out to the Indone brothers.
Then bet.
Right. So
I'll see you. I'll see y'all on Monday.
Good dude.
Then because we're gonna take our stuff out of what's the name.
So I did a thing.
Right
we did a day last year of opening accounts.
We
wanted to go there, but I thought that it was just like a buyout. And,
that video went viral too.
It did.
Yeah.
Oh well, man, I'm going on there, man.
Yeah,
for sure. We're going on, man. Do well, man. We're gonna be there, man, for sure.
I think the idea of, just investing in the community shouldn't stop, with, seeing something like what happened to Nipsey, right? So
there should be motivation,
right?
Quite frankly,
that's the thing. It's really, it had to be impactful.
Mm-hmm.
It had to.
We can't let this man
We had to feel it. And that's the thing. In order to grow, you got to get dirty. Like no flower grows out of just water. You feel me? You got to plant that seed. It's got to get dirty. It's got to fight through the mud and the shit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Fair.
And we have the opportunity as a people to use this feeling and use this energy to something that's going to grow us to something that's going, hey, if they did kill him, they're going to have to kill a whole hell of a lot more of us. Because we not going to let that stop us from doing it the way our forefathers allowed drugs to fuck their shit up. You know what I'm saying? They allow the fucking man and the fucking establishment. Because a lot of the times, it was mindset.
Yeah.
A lot of times, if us as a people get on the proper mindset, as a people, we going to be good.
And just to kind of piggyback, because you hit on it, Mario, earlier, talking about purpose. We also have to recognize as a people that whenever you are purpose to do something,
absolutely,
right? When you discover your vocation, your purpose, you have to understand that the attacks will be greater. That the energy, whatever your faith base is, I'm a Christian, but whatever yours is, if it's the universe, Satan, whatever you want to call it, the attacks are going to be greater. And so that you have to go harder at that thing. And you have to recognize that you have a capacity to overcome adversity that's innate to yourself.
Absolutely.
I think we'll wrap this up here. And in reality, we just got to think about it like this. Nip always said, he said the marathon continues.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So, his death, his passing, sad thing, but he set forth a legacy that we can bring forward. And I think, we can take the case study that he did in L.A., and we can move it here in Chicago and move it forward.
Yes, sir.
He's the change we want to see. To be not to be cliche or anything, but he really was the change we want to see.
That's real.
No, because we don't. That's not as cliche with him because we didn't see that.
No,
we didn't see cats doing that, bro.
Nope.
Like, yeah, bro. He was doing a lot of awesome stuff. So we got a blueprint, man. And now we can't say, man, we don't know. Man, Joe, we don't know. Man, I ain't even know. You alive, nigga. You know, bro.
It's all over Forbes.
Straight up, bro.
Every
like
publication.
If you choose to not be, that's on you, bro. That's on you right now, man. Straight up. It's out here for you, G. It's out here for you. The marathon continues.
Continues.
Let's go.
Real.
Go Defenders. We want to know what you guys think. So if you have something to chime in about this conversation, please like, subscribe. This is a conversation that's going to continue offline. So please subscribe, like, contact us to Go Defenders.
And before you go, hold on. Before you put the peace sign up, check out Do Well Sandwich Company on IG at Do Well Chicago. That's Do _ Well _ Chicago. You feel me?
I love it.
And Facebook Do Well Sandwich Company. Check us out at eatlivedowell.com. Catering, corporate events. We do any and everything for you to make your Do Well experience what it is, man. Peace, man.
Still alive. Local entrepreneurship. Go Defenders. We out.
You're my star. Hey.